I would rather be alone than around most people. The crowd has never really been for me. Maybe a little bit more when I was younger and more social, but as I've grown up, I've realized that the crowd is a place where you have to be fake to survive. And that becomes exhausting, not just to do, but also to witness. You know, I am completely content with staying home and working and reading and watching a movie as opposed to going out. There are very few individuals that I would actually enjoy hanging out with as opposed to staying in my room. And both of my best friends, we all live in different states. And so it's tough. And does anyone else have this weird condition where it's like you spend a lot of time alone and you know that that's probably not good for you? So then you go out. But when you go out, you're just sitting there like, when's it time to go back? Like you wish you would have stayed home. I recently had a situation like that earlier this week when I was invited by some friends to go out. And they'd invited me like a million times and I'd always rejected. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. And I went out and they're cool guys. There's nothing against them. But, you know, when you're just witnessing so many fake people, so many people that it almost seems like they've given up on their dreams and aspirations, it's just not a good feeling to bear witness to. And it's really, really, truly not like, oh, I'm superior to these people. I don't think that. It's just we have different methods of operation. You know, and for me, I like being around more authentic. I like being around the quirky, the weird people. That's kind of more my crowd. Because if you're weird around me, that tells me that, you know, you're comfortable in your own skin and that you don't have a mask on, which it's nice. Another huge issue is that everybody nowadays, I'm going to make a separate video about this, but everybody nowadays has the biggest ego. It just seems like it's one giant ego fest of everyone fighting. It's like, oh, who's the bigger man, you know? And it's just not enjoyable. There's really no other way to put it. It's not enjoyable. Leave me alone. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. You know, and to some extent, I think having a big ego is good, but in a more internal way, where it's like you think highly of yourself, but you don't have to proclaim that to everyone, and you don't feel the need to try to one-up everybody. I've made many videos on it. A perfect example of this would be Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet certainly believes that he is the best actor in the world. I believe that he thinks that, but he doesn't just want to come out and say that. But the only way you can get to the top in life is to have somewhat of an ego, but we falsely equate ego with being expressive. You can have a really big ego and not be expressive. And I think that's the key. But everything has turned into a competition nowadays, and it's like, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, if I just, you know, if I'm off of work, off of school, I don't have anything going on, the last thing I want to be doing is creating some sort of new competition or like new performance that I have to do, you know? Like, I feel like we have enough of that in our lives. What I've realized is I just prefer working on myself. You know, I'd rather read a good book that's going to give me a lot of knowledge or wisdom on certain things, as opposed to going to a bar and just, you know, drinking toxic chemicals that it's only going to hurt me in the long run. This is a hot take. I have some friends that say you should go out as much as possible and try to like network and do all this stuff, but to what extent are you sacrificing part of your soul by being someone that you're not to do that? You know, that's a big thing for me. Anybody that's watched many of my other videos will know that. I feel like everything nowadays requires you to compromise some part of yourself. And every time that happens, I feel like it just feels like you're losing a part of yourself. I mean, because you almost literally are, at least temporarily. But this leads to a whole nother list of problems, because the fact that I want to be alone means that I'm probably not the best socially, you know? And another really weird thing, at least in my case personally, is a lot of people have seen my face online. Which is just, it's like weird. I've never been recognized before. I'm not claiming I'm famous or anything, but, you know, with my short form content, I've had hundreds of millions of views, and It's just like weird because I never know, like when I go to the gym, is someone going to recognize me, or it's just like a weird situation. But I know some of you guys might not relate to that, so I don't want to talk about that for too long. But yeah, I feel like even homebody, even though it's like accurate, I feel like it's not the best depiction of like what I would describe myself. Because it's not that I dislike people. I actually really like my people. It's just hard to find my people, you know? I'm just really selective with who I want to hang out with. And it seems like you're not going to find your people at a bar on a random Thursday night. You're going to find your people maybe at like the library or a book club or very specific online forums, which sounds really weird. It's this like that sounds a little bit weird or pretentious, but that's not how I mean it to come across. It's just, or at your church, or you know, wherever you go that is related to your interest specifically, that's where you're going to find your people. So if you don't like books, you're not going to meet your person at a book club, you know. But if you don't like, you know, the hedonistic lifestyle, you're probably not going to find your person at a bar. That's just the reality. And how do we solve this issue? Quite frankly, I don't know. You know, it's hard to say. Some of you guys might have heard of the third place theory. So for millennia, there's always been a third place. So you have work, home, and then, you know, an area of gathering with other people that's not, you know, work or home or the gym, where there's a sense of community. And nowadays, most people only have two, some only one, because some people work from home and then they don't meet other people elsewhere. So you need to find that third place to go and meet people. For me personally, I don't have it. I actually only have one. So I work, do school. I do work, school, and all my hobbies from home. And then I don't really go out. And I think the scariest part about it all is that it's comfortable. Like, I'm okay with it. But I know long term that's not healthy. And so I need to put myself out of my comfort zone. That's the biggest issue. Anyways, thank you guys for watching.